Okay, we have got a live symbol. And I'd like to call the meeting of Calvert City Council to order. This is a special call meeting with a definitive agenda, and so we need to stick to the agenda. And we're going to be quite busy tonight with the budget workshop and discussions. We'll go down through the budget like we normally do. This will probably be meeting 1 of 2. I don't know how late we should plan on being here tonight, but for a couple of hours anyway. And so as we go, feel free to nibble on food, and just try to be respectful, but be informal nonetheless. And let's work through this thing. And please, as we go through, let's voice our ideas. But first, we need to call to order, and we usually call to order with a pledge of allegiance. I say let's do that now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we've had a meeting minutes of our May 10th regular meeting has been distributed. Has anybody got any comments or corrections?
I don't know that I've seen those.
Okay,
Not
well,
a copy of those, sorry.
they're in front of us.
I think I ran out of paper.
I just gave you a copy now.
Oh, you did?
Well, nobody else usually wants one. They look at them on their iPads. So if you share,
Yeah. Well, I have an iPad that has that on it now.
So if we got them distributed or?
I'll make a motion, we approve as presented.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nobody's opposed, they pass. Okay, thank you for approving those. Let's get busy with a workshop on setting the city council of the city's budget for 21-22. And everybody's got a copy in front of them?
Does this budget thing need to go with it's separate from the minutes? Budget notes.
that was just mine. I didn't know I gave that to all y'all. Now y'all know my notes.
Uh-oh.
I was like, I don't have that either.
Striking's back.
You
I
need
don't even-
that.
I don't even- No, I have one. Now you know my thoughts on why.
Okay.
How's that?
We won't have so many questions.
We shall begin with going through the estimated fund balances and revenue stream. And with our first order that we're gonna go through, Glenda, are you ready to go through that?
Okay, the ones that I mainly deal with, of course, are just our regular ones, and since you have my notes there. Property tax, I'm just leaving that budget number the same at 1 million from last year. We have collected, let's see, at present, we just have 31,000 unpaid of the 2020 bills, so it's about 97.5%. If you can look across, if you look across those audited numbers, this is on page 6 that I'm on. We've stayed above 1 million every year, so I feel comfortable doing that, the budget at 1 million. Then the bank deposit tax, I'm gonna raise that to 20,000, just raising it $2,000. It's come in, I know the 1 year was 18, but we have the 2 banks, First Financial and CFSB, and I feel like it will stay up there. So, the personal property tax, that's the one that's on motor vehicles, boats, etc., things like that. We just get a monthly check from the county clerk, and then we get a quarterly one from the Department of Revenue. And it's been consistently around 80,000, so I'm gonna raise it from 75 to 80 for this year. Then the omitted tangibles, we just never know where those are gonna be. They're just all over the board. So I don't feel comfortable. We've kept them at 75 for several years, 7,500, because we've had a low year that was 7,500. But I'm gonna go up a little bit to 10,000. I think that we'll be okay on that. This year, actually, all of our revenues have exceeded our budget numbers from last year.
Which I found remarkable. And
Me too.
I know that I had a
Yes.
concern this year and several of us.
I mean, they've exceeded it in my general fund, 1.1 million. They have been, I mean, really, it's been phenomenal, actually. So the payment in lieu of taxes, I'm leaving the same. That's just TVA and Paducah Power, and it's gonna remain about the same. I'm leaving it at 8,000. The payroll tax, I'm gonna raise from 1.3 to 1.4 million. It is hanging in there over 1.4, so I feel comfortable with it being at 1.4. You all do know I'm conservative. Ralph taught me that. So if I feel comfortable at 1.4, then that's conservative. The occupational license tax, last year we had no idea after COVID what might happen. The numbers have come in. We budgeted 230. Right now we're sitting at about 300,000. So I am going to raise it to 250. I'm not comfortable raising it very much, but I am going to go to 250 on it. The insurance premium tax. Now that's the driver of our increase this time of our revenues. That one, we have no idea. We just get the checks in the mail. So it has just every quarter the money has just been coming in. So we budgeted 800,000. Right now we're at 1.5 million that has come in on that one. So I am going to raise it 200,000 to $1 million. I think that it has been coming in close to $1 million or over 1. So I think it'll be okay.
You will still track the larger
We
ones.
do. And the reason I'm not gonna go up on it, I'm just gonna go to 1 million is because there's one, and I'm still having Crystal do that that we started. And there's one that, I feel like we got one large one twice this year. That was like 200,000 or more. So that's why we're gonna hang back a little bit on that number. The ABC license fee, that's the license that we get from, with the ABC, with selling the alcohol. 8,500, I think we calculated that number. We know about how much we'll get on that. So based on the license that they have. Franchise fees, that's one. It's your electric lines, cable lines, railroad, you get the franchise fees. I know that it's come in at 78,000 there, but if you'll remember, y'all passed the franchise ordinances, and it was what they paid that application fee, which was $5,000 each one of them. So it's a little more right now. That 78,000. I'm just going to leave it at. Well, it was 50, but I am going to raise it to 60 because it has been coming in. Well, it's just been coming in around 50. That might be a little bit high, but we won't be far off on that one. Then the zoning app fees, 1,500. It was 1,000. John kind of helped me on that one. He thinks that 1,500 would be a good number on that. The penalty and interest, I just left that. That's where someone, like with their net profit or whatever, they pay the penalty if they don't get it in on time. Then you go on down. If you'll look, the CARES Act funding, I did apply for that. I sent in everything. So we got $179,910, but they put it in last year. The auditors put it in last year. And then for this current year, I got 56.4. So we did get that money, but of course there's not any more right now for that. On this other grants, that is this American Rescue Plan. And so I put in the 230, but right now we've gotten some adjusted figures, and I think it may be 324,000. So I'm still gonna leave it at 320 because I don't know. They'll send out something that says one number, and then they send out something that says another number. Of course, we get half this year and we'll get half next year. So anyway, I went ahead and put that much in the budget. So we have that. Interest, we know that interest is nothing, so we're leaving, we had it at 20,000, we're gonna end up at 15, so I'll take that back. See, I have one number that we're not gonna hit the budget. Let's see. Any of the other ones that I've put these in here, but I'm leaving the sanitation fees at 108. They're gonna come in probably about 109.5, but we're gonna leave it at 108. And the rest of them we can kind of talk about with each department, if that's okay, because they are departments from this department.
That's what we normally do.
Community Road Aid. That one we'll put in at 50. I think those are, well, I know, the letter I got said that our money will be 52,116.45. So we might raise that one to 52,
You're talking about down to 420.
the muni road aid. That's on page 8. I looked that up after we met today, Jim.
Okay.
So it's gonna be the 52,000.
Well, there is something I need to tell you guys about on the municipal road aid. This is the right spot, right?
It's good.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the years past, the council has passed a resolution to participate in the emergency allocation of the municipal road aid. So what that is the municipality sacrifices 3% of their money to participate in a potential to get into the emergency fund. Calvert City's never applied for the emergency fund. Okay, we did some checking around, and like 140 out of 400 communities actually participate. So the deadline's passed for us passing a resolution to say, hey, we're going to forego 3% to participate in this fund that we likely never tap into. And we actually had reached out and tried to get some information. I had reached out to try to get some information about what kind of projects were funded, and didn't really get a good, clear picture of that. So that's where we're at. If we look at it, if something happens, we want to change that next year, we can go back to sacrificing 3% to give us opportunity to get emergency money. But we've never done it. And so that's where we're at. Does that make sense? I mean, we pass that resolution every year, and it wasn't really that clear what that was for, but they didn't get passed this year, so we're not participating in that part of the program. So that money went up on this budget. So 3% is 3%, I suppose. Any questions on that?
One other thing on page 9 would be the ABC reg fees. They're gonna come in at about 135,000, but and last year we budgeted 105, just not knowing, but we're gonna raise that to 115 this year. Because they've been coming in over 115 every year.
Will that, the one in Mama D's closing, will that have very much effect?
No.
I didn't, yeah.
No, and we're picking up Speedway. So
Okay.
they've already applied for their license, so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, and now Cracker Barrel. It's been a slow start for Cracker Barrel. But we do have Cracker Barrel.
So Love's dropped theirs.
Lowe's did drop theirs. They decided to go with gaming. Now, they cannot do that in Calvert City, but they do it across the board of all their Loves. So they just stop selling alcohol everywhere and pick up the gaming, or they do the whatever. They said that's just how they do it. So they're not doing alcohol anymore, and they can't do the gaming. So
I thought they did have.
They've got an arcade there, but I don't think it's gaming like.
Not gambling.
It's not the game.
I thought it was gambling.
oh, I don't go in there. It shouldn't be.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay, it's probably gone.
So you can't do both.
they just weren't gonna do both, I think. I'm not sure if you can't do both. I don't know.
Anyway, Lowe's decided to drop their out.
Yes.
Honorably, yes.
So does anyone have any questions on revenues? It's page 6 through 9.
Okay. The incoming side of the equation. And we have a legacy of being pretty conservative on the revenue side. And we think we're going to continue that with these numbers, right? Okay. All right. So moving forward, John, have you got any particular order you'd like to try to go through? Just take it as we go through the round here.
We can do general first, if you want to, and then go from there, just down the chart if you want to, then police, fire, economic or marketing, however you want to proceed, Mayor.
Okay, well, let's do general first. So page 10 is, we have got the historical numbers. So as we go down through, you want to go back and, mark page 10 and see what we were doing versus last year. That's the one that I've been putting the cheat on, if you will. That's a good layout of what the windage has been, okay? So with that said, general department. John, you ready to discuss that starting on page 11?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
All employees, the cost of living this year from DLG was 0.014, and that's was put in there across the board for all employees. Glenda, would you address the medical cost and how that proceeded right quick?
Okay. Our medical costs only went up 0.07%. So the total was only, let's see, I had that in my notes here, $32.96. I'm talking cents, $32.96, and that's over water and sewer and city. I
So
mean,
it went up a
that's
1/10 of a percent,
Mhm.
0.07, 1/10 of a percent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just like nothing. And so anyway, I asked the mayor if we could look at dental and vision, because I would just really think that's a great thing for our employees. We haven't ever had that. I mean, they can buy it through Aflac. But anyway, so he told me to go ahead and look at the numbers.
Price it out.
And so I did. And so I have included that in the numbers here. And it is going to be what we thought we would do, or this is what we're presenting, that pay for dental and vision for the employee. And then if they want to add their family member or their family, they can do that. They can pay the difference in that number. So the dental is $23.30 per employee. So for the city, that's going to be a $7,500 increase total for the year. And then for vision, it is $3.69 a month per employee. So that's going to be a $1,200 increase for the year.
Did you say $3?
It's 69 cents.
$3.70 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
So when she came back with numbers like that,
And Jean said, put it in there.
I'm just curious, how much will they have to pay for their family? Do you
Um,
know, or, I mean, I just wondered if that was
No,
doable
it's-
for them.
It will be. It's not, I have it right here. Let me see. On the dental, like employee spouse is $46.15, so you'd have to pay 20 something a month. For a family, well, for a family, it's 74. So it would be something, but
something like that.
One, two, three, and four.
Do you
Oh,
know,
listen, I had a
is orthodontia covered under that policy?
no.
Okay. So it's a pretty basic plan.
It is. Now, it has a $2,000 limit per year. It pays 100% for cleanings. You know, it's pretty basic, like most dental plans are.
Now, who's Karen? Where'd you get the bid from? What's good?
I think it's Delta Dental.
Okay.
It is Delta Dental.
So Delta, by being a member of Delta, they get you into some discounts, just by virtue of being a member.
That's great.
It is something with employees, if that's an option, if they want to put their family on there, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Well, I talked to KLC and I was like,
It's only $8,700 for rest and pay for all employees from both visual.
It's gonna be nice. I'm shocked.
I know, I was too. And what prompted this, I had to have a root canal in the crown, and I spent $2,000 out of pocket, and I said, could we please have dental and vision, or dental anyway?
I had given, my crown still costs $500 out of
Well,
pocket.
Right,
So
but
it's
it'll-
still,
it'll pay
it's still a
part of
lot,
it.
yes, yes.
Yeah, it's still a
Yes,
chunk
right,
of
it's
change.
still great.
So I'm seeing a pretty much an agreement and moving forward with that. Okay.
How much on vision per family member? It's 74 for family. For
Right.
for
Take a
Delta.
look.
I'm gonna be asked, I mean,
That was a month, you said?
Yes, that is a month. It is $10.80 a month for family plan.
oh, that's for the family.
So it would be the difference between the $10.80 and $369 that the employee, but of course, these would be pre-tax numbers, so that'd be great.
I mean, it's nice, it's gonna help out some, if folks who choose to do it, people who, you wear glasses and we, I'll be getting teeth cleaning regularly and it helps you control some of the costs, so.
And it's,
Okay. The major items that we're looking at in general fund are, we are separating marketing and economic development and moving them to their own account. That way we can track better what's being spent. We thought, now I thought it would work. We could do it fine with just City Hall, but I think Blair and I both found out that it was quite confusing trying to do both of them. So we want to separate that so it can actually see what's going where. So we've moved personnel costs, department expenses, and then capital outlay for marketing and economic development over to the 501. We'll get to that in just a little bit later this evening.
So when we start talking about those amounts and how they're gonna show up now that they're on their own, they're gonna, we'll have to do some interpreting of what they've been in the past.
Okay.
So, and then the other is the addition of a full-time enforcement officer to take care of enforcement and weeds, nuisances, and other compliance issues within the city. And that's also in the budget that you're looking at currently.
Yeah, the questions need to come. This is
Yeah,
this is a
I'm
big,
wondering,
this is a big change.
do we need a full-time?
Well-
I sort of thought we'd talked part-time before.
Well, it's in the budget as a full-time. Okay. And the salary range was picked out of some information from KLC as a full-time. This is a budget. Okay. So when we go to setting this position up, there's going to be action to be taken before, we get that all straightened out. But, with our latest plan meeting and the emphasis on taking care of derelict properties and enforcement, it's something I felt that the council fully supported. And I think depending upon the experience level of who might be interested in this position, there can be other things that the city does that they could be used as. Okay, so there's going to be, the way I visualize it, there will be a set of core duties having to do with enforcement of the various regs that we have related to zoning, related to property care, maintenance, and that sort of thing. And then depending upon the successful candidate, to see what else they might do to fit in. So for budgetary purposes, since we haven't got the position figured, we haven't met the individuals yet, I went ahead and had them pull in the full-time. Now, that's where we're at. That's where we're at as we enter this discussion, okay? So what is that, what's the salary that we put in there for this position, John?
We had a maximum salary of 45,000.
That's a maximum salary right now.
What page is that on? Do you have that on here?
Well, it would show up as a increase in line item 105. Is that true, John?
That's correct.
Yes, the overall general budget is actually down. Of course, that took out marketing, but the actual budget was down 279,803 from last year. And then the marketing budget is 329. So that basically is, if you're looking at that, that's about a $50,000 change or net loss as far as changing marketing out and bringing the other in.
So when he puts in a $45,000 salary, he does the rest of the stuff with the matching funds and participation in pension and all that stuff goes along with it. So that's how that number came about. That's why we see that the increase in I guess that's 105, because we pulled, Blair is minus that number and this new person's in. And I don't know what other changes we have on the salary budget.
Well, when I use that number, I'm utilizing the whole budget. Everything in the 100s would relate. Well, most everything in the 100s would relate to all of those. But yes, the salary itself for everybody would be right there. But that also includes your salaries as well as the attorneys and staff.
Okay, this kind of, or would not be better, I don't want to belong, but I don't understand why the attorney's fees go, attorney salary goes through there. I mean, that seems like professional services to me.
Well,
I mean, I just think we'd
when-
like to know why, that's.
when we pass ordinance for employees, the attorney's salary is on that ordinance and it's as a dollar per hour figure, right? And I'm trying to remember, where would we find the budgetary number for the annual on the attorney?
It's in there. It would be, we go hourly.
Is it on the wage ordinance that we passed?
Pay classification.
The pay classification ordinance sets the annual salary of the attorney, right?
It's just supposed to be an estimate, but
It is.
I ain't never seen an attorney that didn't know what the estimate was.
Yeah, I get it.
I guess,
That's probably what we're gonna pay.
right, I mean, mine is, it's not the amount, so much we pay, but to me, if it's, I just have a hard time separating that in my head. If we pay him so much an hour, I can see that being salary, but when we're paying the overhead, which is justifiable because he is an attorney and he has to have people in his office to do things. But to me, it sort of seems like that part of it shouldn't be salary. Am I not making,
You want him on his own line item.
well, yeah, that would help, I think. And the other thing is I'm saying, like, when, I know that he is, the attorney's different, but when we have an engineer, we pay those professional fees and it's a little bit different. You pay, and what I'm saying is, when you start paying $175 an hour or $225 an hour, you're including his overhead for his office. That's not all just his salary when you break it down. And maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I don't know.
Because I'm wondering if we break it down
But-
that way, would we then have to, would he have to be a bid job?
I don't think so, but I'm just
Well,
saying,
we do pay some attorneys
yeah,
in addition to the city attorney. Okay, so those people go under professional services. Okay, when we do the extras, right? And they're 1099. Well, with Greg, he is the designated city attorney and he has an agreed to pay rate. And I've got to do my own study on whether that includes office overhead or not.
Well, of course it would.
Well, we also pay some fees for other subscriptions and things like that too, outside of that. So So he processes it through here as a wage, and withholding is done on the entire amount. That's how it happens here. And so there's some questions about whether that's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Okay,
And to me, if that's, I just think that's something we just need to look into. Yeah.
okay. Well, let's go ahead with the budget workshop and remember that and see what we can do there.
Okay, if you can look down through there, you'll see the estimated figures for, in that, I don't know if you've got the, second from the right will be the estimated year-end figures. And then the last column will be the budgeted figures, for each of the different line items. Professional and technical services, we've reduced that one back to 165. Increased advertising, duplicating and printing. I'll have to check on that one. I thought we brought that one down, but that's showing 60 right now. We're looking at 40 at this point, and I thought that was supposed to come down. I'll look back into that one personally, but
Which one are you talking about, John?
no, 205. I
Well-
thought we pulled some of that out to go to marketing.
Okay,
And so we bring us back down to 40,000, but I'll have to double check that.
okay, so the next one, professional technical services went and dropped. We budgeted 214 and our estimated is 245.
We had some extra attorney fees this year that bumped that up, having to do with our cable franchises with Miss Ain, Linda Ain. We had a number of bills from her with the work that she did on our cable franchise ordinances. Don't expect that. That's pretty much wrapping itself up. Maintenance repairs, we bumped that up 5,000 to make sure that we've got coverage for working or patching the roof at the old bank building. That way we can make sure that we can protect it from, that's all the money that I've got budgeted this year for that building, just to kind of make sure we can keep it sealed from the weather.
So on that one, John had dropped the number 10 because of the work we've been doing at City Hall, and that's kind of tapering off, although we still have, the fire department bay and the meeting room and stuff is in the works at some point, but I don't know if it's going to be done this year. But we have the bank building, and we don't have a clear vision of how we proceed on that. But Mr. Futrell brought to my attention that we've got a little water coming in and we need to do something. So he's looked over there, and the roof, put a new roof on it, it's going to be. I think he was talking on the order of 20. I'm not sure. Yeah, we talked about something. But this is just to stop the water leaks in the existing roof until we can take a breath and see what the future of that building looks like. What's the vision? Who's going to wind up being the caretaker and move forward?
I hope to get a vision on that quickly.
It's a cool building. I've been through it before and went through it with him the other morning. It's a cool building, and we really, I think it'd be something the community doesn't need to lose.
Yes.
But you can't just fix things because it suits your fancy. You kind of have to have a use for it, have a vision for where it goes. And I think there's several things that can be developed. But nonetheless, we're the owners, and you can't let water on the interior of it. So that's what that's about. Is that right, John?
That's correct.
Okay.
Ada is still wanting to use the building at some point.
Yeah. And so let's just face facts. I mean, the sesquicentennial activity is taking everybody's full attention. Only have so many volunteers and so much bandwidth, if you will, to take everything on. So that's
Probably
understandable.
sort of put a squat on it too
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah. So hopefully we can, we can get after that in this next year and get a better vision. So this time next year, we can have a better, and who knows, we may get, we may get hot after something in the middle of the year and we go after 10, but it just depends. So budgetary wise, that's where we're at.
In line item number 225, travel, food, and lodging, I expect us to do more and you all to do more traveling in the upcoming year.
Only
We only-
spent $1,000.
Well,
Anywhere.
Nowhere.
It depends. It depends on how many people go to different training.
Yeah.
So yes, right now we did 3, but nobody went anywhere, that was just basic sign on and virtual, whatever we had. And if you go back and look, it varies anywhere from 6,700 to 17,000. So we put the 17,000 in there thinking that, there might be, I don't know if you guys are going to go to more trainings now, since the restrictions on COVID are relaxing. I don't know. You tell me is that too much, you think?
We have no way of knowing what the future holds. We want to know so we get there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's up to par to where we work. So I think it's a good place to start. And I think the cost
Really?
level is going to ultimately be higher per stay, the way it's heading. So.
I mean, I don't have a problem bringing it down some if you need it to be.
Now, would that include the water board?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just us, okay.
No,
I'm
this-
going to send Carrie to the clerk school and I'm gonna send Crystal to the masters. So, and I'm hoping they get to actually go because it's end of July and 1st of August, so so that'll be an expense.
Okay, utilities is no change. Communications and postage is no change. Rents and storage, we're dropping it down about 500. That's our email accounts. Insurance and bonds, those items are staying fairly flat, so we kept that the same. Other contractual services, we actually went to 1350 on that. And so we kind of split the difference and went to 1250, bring up $50 on it. So technical supplies, we've dropped it down and moved money over to Blair's budget. Medical and first aid, again, we're keeping that. We've been just more expenses, and then the cost for the items are going up. And this has to do with that 1,500 has to do with AED. A lot of the parts and stuff that we get for AED stuff, supplies, the defibrillator, motor fuel and oil, that's flat, no change. Office supplies, we increased it. There was something specific. Oh, we're looking at possibly, we've got to replace 2 computers in here that are old, that need to be replaced. Other materials and supplies, we actually reduced it by 2,000. Dues and subscriptions, again, flat. Co-sponsorships are way down because we moved most of the co-sponsorships over to marketing and economic development, keeping fireworks and the school, the EDU contribution or that is owed on the Clearwell note. Like we have 2 $30,000 payments left, and that'll wrap that one up. So we've dropped that down to 60,000. And then miscellaneous other expense, the 18.5, that actually picks up demolition for buildings and the mayor's. You'll see that over in down in the the back of that at 499, the miscellaneous demolition, 15,000, mayor's discretionary fund of 3,500. Under technical, you'll get a breakdown also of your professional and technical 210 on the last page in that section, as well as the co-sponsorships, and then the capital outlay, 5,000 for a generator that would be automatically set up. It'd be natural gas generator at the radio building, so that if we lost power, it would automatically switch over to a generator to keep the radios and the communication equipment moving or running. Then $3,000 to finish upgrading LED lighting in the city hall. And then of course our 10,000 we keep, and $599 for cameras and repairs for cameras. And that's pretty much the general fund's budget.
Are we planning to buy more cameras?
I'm sorry.
Are we planning to buy more cameras?
We'll always add cameras. We invariably add a camera or 2 or 3 in a year, and then repair or replace cameras that have been struck by lightning, etc. So right now I've got to replace one. I think we've got one out somewhere in the park. I can't remember which one it is, but I think we've got one out that is to be replaced.
I do want to make one more note, that retirement, that would be back on page 11. The retirement did increase from 24.06 to 26.95. That's for non-hazardous.
Which line are we talking about?
We're talking about line 120. So, and then with the police, which we'll see in their budget, it increased from 39.58% to 44.33%. So we contribute 44.33% on gross wages every month.
So,
And we contribute 26.95 on gross wages.
so the has duty pay twice, right?
But I did want you to be aware.
How often is that change done?
Once a year.
Once a year? They're limited to once a year? Okay.
And they've been capped at 12%. I don't know how much longer that, I was thinking that was for like 2 or 3 years. Now, last year they held it the same just because I think it had to do with COVID and everything going on. Or, well, no, that would have been the year before. But it stayed 24.06 for 2 years, but now they may come back with their 12% or whatever. They can't go over 12%, so they're increasing. But I did want you to be aware of the percentages.
Of course, that goes along with what the auditor said would be
Mhm.
considered a large unfunded liability.
So, yeah, that's the first thing that talked about. That's a whole nother discussion. In it. All right. John, you got something else?
That's pretty much, that's the general fund unless you have questions.
Okay. So the general fund is mop up of everything, doesn't have a definite department home with a department head somewhere. So that's why the bank building's lumped in there, and that's why it extends to the cameras. Any other physical plants that's attached to general? Besides the bank building, it really doesn't need to be, but that's what it is. The only place it's supposed to right now. Okay. So we've moved the new category out of this, right? So we'll get a look at it later on. So with that, I see a David Elliott emblem up here. David, you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we're all ears. You gonna lead us?
Hang on a second. I'm trying to bring it up on my computer. Give me a second. I'm sorry.
You may need a break or a refill of good Calvert City water. Water,
It's fine.
water.
Calvert City Water installs.
Yeah, I figured that's what you had in there. And we surely didn't buy commercial water that doesn't have as high a standard as our municipal water and bring it in there and actually drink it on purpose.
It's in the refrigerator.
I'm sure Linda reads the problem for Calvert City Water.
Silas usually gets those out and throws them away.
What we do, Mayor, you are live going out to the whole city.
I don't,
Degrading the water supply.
I'm not
No,
degrading,
he was
I'm bragging on it.
bragging on it.
Okay.
It is good.
I wasn't being facetious. I drink it all the time.
My sister-in-law made that, y'all gotta try it. Everybody, there's cheesecake back there, so everybody's way back there. That's good.
Cheesecake.
She does a good job.
If you eat it standing up, it goes straight to the toes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Where that stick.
No, we weighed Calvert.
It increases your shoe size and not your waist size.
Yeah. I'm gonna remember that. They had like a crab fair and stuff and sold, had bake sale and stuff, so I bought the cheesecake from her.
Oh, that's
So that's all.
I love the bake sale.
Okay, Mayor, I've got it up. Sorry, it took me a little bit.
That's fine.
Starting out the salary stuff, I'll leave that up to Belinda. So if you got any questions on that, she keeps up with all that as far as John does, the COLA, and then our insurance and all that. So I'm starting off, if you want to run down to 205.
Okay.
Most everything on my budget is the same as what we budgeted last year. So we really didn't have any increases on anything that I'm aware of that we put in for. So advertising 205 will be the same as it was last year, 1,500. And then the 210, the professional technical, will be the same as last year, be 7,500. And the 220 maintenance and repairs, it'll be the same as last year, the 9,600. And the travel, food, and lodging will be 7,800. And fortunately, my guys don't like to travel that often, so hopefully I won't use near that. So they don't, even if we don't have COVID, they don't like to be far from home. So we probably won't get close to that, but we'll leave that in there just in case. And then if you go down, let me see here, to 305 technical supplies, we've got that budget at 2,500 again. That's the same as what it was last year. We've got a lot of stuff that falls into that, our ammunition and things like that falls into the technical supplies. And then our 315, that's equipment parts, 4,800. that'll be the same as last year. And then the 330 is the uniform clothing purchases. It's 6,000. That'll be the same as last year. And the motor fuels, it's kind of a guessing game there. We're give or take 27. That's what we put last year. I don't know. I think me and John figured we didn't. I don't think might not get close to that this year. So maybe depending on where the gas prices will be, hopefully we'll still be under that. And then the 350, the office supplies, we've got it at 3,000 again as we were last year. And then the 399, which is a catch-all, it's at 2,400, which was what it was last year. And then the dues and subscriptions, 300 as what was last year. And then we go down to the 499, which is the miscellaneous, or that's the dare account, and it's 3,000, which is what it was last year. And that's pretty much it. And I think John's got the vehicle land, other account. I forgot. John, what have you got, that vehicle?
Yeah, it's in the
Vehicle.
CI. It's in the CIP. It's in the 21, 351, 515, I believe it is.
Okay, we looked at the government contracts on the Ford Explorers and the Dodge Durangos. Was running around between 35, 36,000. We forecasted or put in, I think when I talked to John, we put in 36,000. I talked to the officers, and the officer that's actually going to be replacing his vehicle this year, he said he would just assume to have a Charger instead of the SUV. We do have a four-wheel drive truck that we got off of a drug case that we utilize. Most of you've seen it. It's a nice truck, so we've got a four-wheel drive. He chose the car. The government contract on the car was $26,000 for something, so we'll only be actually spending a little over about $26,500 for the vehicle. So we're not going to get an SUV. I don't think we need one. And the gentleman that's actually getting the vehicle said he'd just soon have the Charger instead of the SUV.
All right.
And that's where we're at. Oh, I'm sorry. On going down to 505, I'm not done yet. Glenda sent this to me in 3 sections. I'm sorry. 505 technical supplies, 27,000. That's computers. The capital expenditure stuff for our vehicles, radars, cameras, laptops, things like that comes out of that. And then that's it. Forgot about that. We did talk with John and Miss Linda, and on our regulatory fee was at 12%, I believe it was last year. We did increase that from 12 to 15, which increased the reimbursement from the 141,800 and change to, I think me and John conferred earlier, I think it's 179,573, which would be just under 180,000 reimbursed back to the city. And that'll be for 12% or 15% of our operating budget, which will be reimbursed back to the city. Is that correct, John?
That is correct.
Okay.
Now that's only, we are not changing, understand, we're not changing the regulatory fee.
No.
We're just changing a reimbursement rate
Reimbursement to the city,
from
to us.
from that pool of money.
Yeah, the 6% regulatory tax fee will stay into play. It's just with the money that we have accumulated, because I post-spend instead of pre-spend. Mr. Howard taught me that. You don't spend what you don't have. So God love him, we've waited. So I'm spending what I have, but at the 6% regulatory tax fee that we get in every year, we're reimbursing the city out of that fund the 15% of our operating budget of the police department, which will be that 179,573.
And you're welcome, David, on that.
Oh, yeah. I love y'all.
He's doing his part. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well,
Call sales are good.
Okay, that's good, everybody. Yeah. Well, David, as always, thank you. I'm gonna go up here to page 10 and check you out. So year over year, within Golden. So what we basically see on year over year, Dave, is the increase in salary and pension staying, of course, making do within the budget, right? So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
now here's really important. You got everything you need, right?
Yes, sir. And I am very appreciative of the city and especially the council for their understanding and assisting with the police department, especially in these times that we're living in. Unfortunately, police departments are getting bad raps, but I am very honored and pleased to live in this city and to work for this city and the community that we live in. It's such a good town, and I've got excellent officers that work for me. I'm very, very, very proud of them. So I think we do a good job, even if nobody else thinks we do. I think we do. So I'm proud of my officers. So
We're very appreciative of you guys. We appreciate everything you guys do every day.
well, thank you. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. So
Second that.
thank you.
You got the support of the people in this room, for sure.
Absolutely. And I deeply appreciate it. I really do.
And I think that goes to the community at large as well.
Yes, sir. That's all I've got.
Cruising right along. Thank you, David.
All right. Thank you, sir.
So we're gonna change pages once again. Go to the next department.
Just gonna make a suggestion. We don't have to go line by line on every one of these, do we?
No,
I mean,
I didn't.
I appreciate David doing all that.
Yeah.
And
So you're gonna let Tim off easy then.
I'm gonna let Timmy off easy. I know.
Thank
Timmy-
you. I
I
appreciate
know
it.
Timmy's not very
How
smart.
much?
I know Timmy's like me. He's not very smart, so he didn't want to do a lot of reading.
You ain't hurt my feelings.
I know I'm not. We've been picking on each other for years.
Okay, so overall, let's take a look at the fire department. Let's just steal some of Tim's thunder here. Let's go to page 5. So overall, fire department, 2021 to 2020, 21, 22, we see that he's had a slight reduction, right? So, Mr. Davis, you want to point out anything in particular in your affairs here?
May I make a quick statement?
Yes.
Fire department, if you take a look, all their departmental expenses are the same as last year's budgeted. Nothing has changed. Or I looked back through it, I didn't see anything changed. The only thing that it changed in his budget this year as far as that would be in the capital and the 500. So if you want to touch base on that, Tim, or anything else you wanted to speak about, but
I didn't hear him. He was talking to me.
He said that everything you had last year is the same as this year, except for the capital. And
Yeah,
unless there's something you want to point out.
I'm not asking for SCBA's this year or a truck. I will mention, I did put radios in and pagers. I'm not sure that we're gonna order them because the county is not sure what they're gonna do.
They're gonna change some of that stuff. Yeah.
Who knows?
I understand.
And I'll just leave that at that. Basically, we're gonna stay the same. There is, you're looking at an exhaust fan. I'm sure you're gonna look at that for $3,500. It's a battery operated exhaust fan to ventilate a house. It's dual, it's battery plus electric. It works off the batteries that we have for the jaws. Every battery tool that we have works off the same battery. So that's I guess you would say a less expense. You can use the same batteries. When you buy one battery, you're buying it for, I think we have 5 different pieces of equipment now that use the same batteries. That's the way the fire service is going. It's to all battery equipment.
So the new truck didn't have a generator on it.
No. It's
Big deal.
got an inverter. When the truck's running, all of our batteries are being charged. I mean, we can even put a refrigerator in there if we want to, or a coffee pot. It's that powerful. When we're sitting in the station and have it plugged up to what we call shoreline power, it's working. The reason we're going to batteries is they're always working. You go to a gasoline engine, you may not get it started, you may not. So that's why,
Road battery powered stuff come a long way.
yes,
Well, the LEDs on the fire trucks take a lot less current on them, so it changed the whole game on the chassis electrical and all the tools are going battery. So there's a alternator feeds the inverter, and I forget how many amps it does.
the inverter.
Yeah, I don't remember the amps, but
It's
it's a whole new game. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, it's,
the maintenance and feeding of the generator, gen sets on the apparatus can be pretty complicated. So you just get out of that ballgame altogether. Now, he's also got 2 other backups though for like jaws and different things. So you still got some gasoline fans in
Yeah.
play. You still got jaws that operate off the PTO and the new rescue truck. They run a hydraulic on the PTO. So you got both, as a response. So
we're very fortunate. We're the only department in the county that has 3 separate types of jaws. So there shouldn't be an incident that we run up on that we shouldn't be able to extricate somebody from. And I appreciate that, y'all letting us do that. I know that's a big expense to have. And the new jaws that we have will work, except for the batteries. The other 2 set we have will work off of the ones that run off the truck versus the one that runs off the engine. So that's an advantage to us.
So the price of IR cameras have gone down over time too.
Oh, yeah, that, I was gonna mention that. What the cameras are is they're infrared cameras. They're individualized, where when the firemen you send in, they'll have them on their coat, which will help them find the fire quicker. And if we're doing a search, it'll help us find a victim quicker. They do have the ability to take pictures to document what you see. And that's a big thing now in documenting everything for liability purposes and, legality purposes too.
Have y'all just decided no on the drone? I know that's a lot.
Say again, please, I'm sorry.
That was my question.
No, that was a big expense, not only for the piece of equipment, but the liability insurance. The person that operates it is just everything but a pilot. I mean, they are a pilot, but they can't fly an actual.
Yeah.
I think it takes like maybe 15 or 20 more hours to be able to fly an airplane to be able to versus flying. And the rescue squad has one of them, and our friendships, I guess you would say, is getting better with them.
Give him a truck.
Yeah, yeah.
Give him a truck.
And that's
what they want.
I mean, that was my intentions of giving them that truck, is to, help them, where hopefully they'll help us. I mean, they will, but it's just,
I'm just curious if that makes sense.
but they have one, and all I gotta do is call and they'll bring it. So why should we go out there? I mean,
Right,
it's-
absolutely. I agree. I was just curious. Yeah.
And I like that you want to make that relationship happen.
that's.
All right.
You need anything else from me?
Anybody got any questions for Tim? See off the hot seat.
Good.
I can't even turn and see him.
Pardon me?
If you're waiting to get juice back.
I don't like it.
Uh-oh. All right. You don't have to.
Say again, Gene?
I think it's see us forming on the hot seat.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you later. I don't know if this is the time to bring it up or not.
Okay.
Everything we're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Give me a call later.
That's
What
speaking
we
code.
work with Greg with.
Oh, well, he doesn't have it, but go ahead. That's fine.
The other departments in the county, as of right now, we have no income. Everything goes out. And what got me thinking about this is the other departments in the county charge the insurance companies for equipment, time spent, like oil dry. We can even charge if we have to cut someone out.
So, this is a budgetary conversation, so for our workshop, it's appropriate. So for instance, on a particular incident that happened not long ago, how many hours did you spend out at the railroad track?
Rolled over
Yeah.
chemical.
Mhm.
We spent probably roughly, I don't know, 2.5 days, yeah. Yeah, we got there about 5 o'clock one afternoon, and we left there, we were there all night, all day, and then probably till 11 or 12 o'clock the third day.
So that's just one case, where, you have that much time, you got a vehicle, that was cold weather during snow and ice. So you got volunteer personnel tied up, which, okay, that's volunteer personnel. We don't squander it, but you gotta use it when you do. But you got fuel sitting there, you got idling, you got some extraneous expense, you got some bills and different things. And there was a case recently where there was an incident on the interstate, and they, the insurance company settling up, and just as a matter of fact, asked the response agency, what's the fee? And so we don't have a fee structure set up for our fire department. And that's something that we're gonna be picking up, but then the council will have to approve, since it's a fee, you'll have to approve that fee structure. And so when would we be looking at charging fees for it?
Based on what the other departments do, is they do not charge anybody that has money coming into the city. Like, it wouldn't be a city resident, wouldn't be a county resident. Now, if we just go out there and spend 2 hours, 30 minutes on a traffic control, we wouldn't do that. It's to recoup a major expense. Like, we worked one here the other day that we used 10 bags of oil dry. You're talking $120. That's not a whole lot of money, but yet it's taxpayer money that someone else caused us to have to spend.
So it wouldn't be on a house fire or a.
No.
Or a business fire.
I mean, legally we can, if I understand Greg right.
So there's a framework in the state statutes that would allow that to occur, but that's not the vision. I think what Chief is looking for, and we've had this kind of three-way conversation with Greg about, in those instances where people have insurance coverage and people looking to take care of situations, and that just be a routine act of business, and it's not inventing, it's not gouging, you really have out-of-pocket expenses. So what he's gonna be looking at is, with Greg, trying to set up a fee structure for the different services provided, that when these come up, we're not talking about actively invoicing people and going after them if it's not paid. It's one of those things that, if you respond to a transportation emergency where folks have coverage, or, something else like that, because we have interstate running through our backyard, and that makes a lot of calls.
Yeah.
And, a lot of transportation stuff in and out of this area. So not looking, I don't know where it turned out to be. I don't know how many calls or how many times a year that would come up.
I've heard anywhere from, there's one department here, I think they've been doing it about 2 years, and I think they've gotten like $25,000 or $30,000 out of the 2 years. There's another department, I think they've been doing it 8, and I think he says he's got somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 in the 8 years. So it's not break the bank money, but it helps you, recover your expenses.
Oh, like electric companies do that. You have to pay it back into a loan.
And I don't think it's any added expense on anybody, because I think most insurance companies have that written into their policy. It's probably not publicized, but it's in there. You're paying for it.
So, you could argue that we probably we should already have those things taken care of. And one of the reasons is that, we are a city department. We're not a volunteer department with tax rates. And so we don't really have that fire board, and we don't say a certain percentage of revenues go to this. And so it's not something that's been, so it's TM being innovative, or not being, innovative too, but being responsive to the reality of where he's operating and bringing that forward to us. So that's going to be sometime in the future. So we don't know enough to do in here. So what we'll see is if we get that enacted sometime over here in the revenue side, there'll be a smidge of fire department incoming revenue that's not in the budget.
One thing I was curious about is the payroll tax, the people that pay that, would they be exempt from? Or how would you do that? You know, I mean,
Well, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of discretion, and that's gonna be, I think, the point of the ordinance and the language of the ordinance. I mean, it's not gonna be seen at for, I won't put words in your mouth, but for a normal automobile accident or something like that, that usually doesn't invoke.
right.
Is that right?
It's more for a major incident.
Okay, something.
Like I say, if you're there for an hour, no, we're probably not gonna, now if, you know, how do I say this? It sounds kind of, you do it one time, but you don't do it the other time.
No, I understand.
You know, if you, like I say, if you go out there and use 10 bags of oil dry, $120, that's, you know,
Yeah,
chemical spills are good.
Yeah. I guess,
When you start
and I
seeing
think,
that-
and I think we're, here again, we're just in the very early stages of this. I think we can legally pick and choose what we do.
basically, that was just something I was saying, that
Mhm.
might need to be considered in that, but I.
So whenever there's a response to a structured fire, it'll be on either in the limits or a mutual aid agreement. And that's all just, I mean, that's not what he's talking about.
Right.
Nothing like that. But we got to get the ordinance language spelled out, and that's, you know, Greg's gonna work on that with Tim. And,
You know, on the chemical tank that turned over, we, I think we burnt, we had the pickup down there and another truck, I think, and I think we filled them each up twice. You know, luckily it was back when gas was a little cheaper. So I think we ended up maybe spending like $100 in the two trucks.
Only question there is, who was the entity that was responsible for that truck?
It was a trucking company.
The truck, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd offered it up to transportation, it wasn't our.
No, once,
Yeah.
once,
See where I was going with that?
once they hook to it, it's their responsibility. See, I thought it was Arkema because they were helping, big help.
Right.
But it turned out to be, it was not their, they could have said, hey, we're done with you. But, you know, them being good neighbors, they didn't do that. I mean, if they had something we could use, hey, it's here.
That's one.
And all the plants are good about that. I mean, if they can, if just advice or whatever, they're willing to help. I'm not putting words in their mouth.
Okay.
I'm good if y'all are good.
Appreciate all that you do too.
Thank you.
The fire department.
Okay. We need to take a break before we get on.
Works for me.
What's next, John?
I don't know where he is, but I think,
Okay, well, let's take a 5-minute for people who need to.
I think the next would be economic development.
Okay, so Blair's on deck.
Yep. Economic development's up next.
I don't see Blair's symbol on there anywhere. She might be eating lasagna and stuffed pepper.
She's there.
She's there.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
here.
The city, there she is. I can't read it from this far away, Blair.
I can read it because I'm right here.
No, you're fine. It's fine.
The last drawer under the coffee pot, that's right. My bag, you know. Right, I don't. Like Ben has a sandwich eating and I've had like 8 bites. That's why I've had to sit here and just kind
The elephant trip. Couldn't find anybody in Nashville.
Not a factor, not a factor.
That's about 30 miles outside of Indianapolis. And see, they're redoing that 69 up through there, and you gotta get off and go through 3 towns, and it's 25 miles an hour on some of them towns, and Lord have mercy. Stoplight here, stoplight there. About the time you get up to speed, you gotta stop. Oh, gosh.
I'm not passing it,
Pardon me?
of.
Oh, Evansville's not bad. fly to Evansville. This is
So I was talking to
the other side
somebody.
of.
I don't know who she
The other
was.
side
I feel
of
bad
it.
that I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
I thought if Evelyn was here, she'd probably slap me or
Man, it's a
her
long
face
way
would turn
away.
red and she'd walk away.
Especially up there, turn
It's
around,
not
hook,
back.
turn around, and come back.
Your wife, she's. I was like,
Oh,
this
this is
girl,
the,
Wes always says,
Fire
Poor
training
Kevin.
center. I've been away for 4 years.
poor Kevin.
Yes.
You can say that. a good
Because
shape.
they were just like their
Yes,
mama.
very good shape.
That's all touch.
Yeah.
That part about it, I can remember when
We're in the
it
process of
looked
doing
just
some
like
of
Sarah
the
and we got
Christmas
married.
tree rebuilt. I just gotta go get it.
I know, I like when Evelyn puts those
We're
pictures
talking
up.
about taking that old rail
Everyone's
car out
exactly the same age as
and
Sarah
just
when
putting
we
a
got married.
dome, building
You all
a,
have some beautiful kiddos.
Thank
I
you.
You are
guess it's a
beautiful.
prop out of a
Good
dome,
couple.
not having the rail car itself.
I wish I knew who she was, but she just asked me, she was asking me about your brother, actually.
Did it ever happen?
And that's where the
Uh,
conversation started.
No,
I don't
no,
remember what it was now, but it was gonna be a bear move.
And then after it was
Yeah.
over, I thought, well, I'm gonna quite
it was
slap me.
a vessel for
Stop
confined
embarrassing
space.
her.
Bob got the one we got, and they use the snot out of it now.
And Dean, Sarah, you got to what Ryan had a golf shot.
Not too long ago.
Do I?
You got to what Ryan had a golf shot. didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Well, you know, the thing, we were walking up on it. You know, we've been right in that blind spot. I told Susie, you gotta stop. We can't come up. And, you know, it's over the wall. You can't come up on the peripheral on the walking trail.
He plays much easier.
I don't know if they'd be like.
Man.
He played very well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
made that-
Did you
made it
say
so, I
there's plenty
think.
in there?
Yeah, he did. That's 75, 79.
Well, you could.
Real close to.
I think they had a
Yeah.
visit there, I think, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I saw some things that, I mean, they were old, rusted out, from one day, what they did around it, and it's locked, but it didn't look like anybody they knew.
We've,
But I
got a
saw
couple
what
of
like a farm.
Yeah. We've got a couple of Connex boxes, it's been donated to us, we're gonna put them on that, it's like the overseas shipping
What
container.
iPhone do you have?
Yeah. And we're gonna try to make
Does
some stuff
anybody
out of
use
them,
anything other than an iPhone?
if we can find some plans.
Okay, well, I
What's called an
veered away from
entanglement trailer.
iPhone for a
You know,
smidgen,
like you
and I
get into a
complained and
house,
whined and cried so much
down
that yesterday
wires.
Westwood got me another iPhone. And
Drop
sold
ceiling,
mine,
yeah,
well,
light
I traded it
fixtures.
in, but they didn't want the
About
chargers,
half
they
of
were
it
gonna
like
throw
that,
those
and the
away.
other half.
And I thought that was weird, so I was like, well, I'll give those to somebody who
Broken
has one.
stairways and.
Boy, I will never leave iPhone again, guys, it was
Oh, yeah,
miserable.
picked up, yeah.
I
There's-
didn't know I
there's
had a
probably-
track switch phone.
I would say somebody in
I'm
there
not
at least
smart
once a
enough to
month.
work
Another one you did, Monday?
There were certain things that it did that
Oh,
I
we
really,
had
really
3
liked,
departments
but
down
still,
there Monday
compared
night.
to this, like even texting on this is so much easier than Google
They made this
for children.
for others as well.
Yeah, hey, check it. No, I don't
That's
want.
okay, I have an iPhone, I called Ralph the other night at 11 o'clock, FaceTime him.
Look out.
She
didn't know it, though.
I'm
I
so
did.
glad you didn't pick up, it wouldn't have been pretty.
Good job, Tim.
How in the world did that
Yeah,
happen? That would be scary,
That's so funny.
I did that. And I didn't know what Ralph asked me Monday night, he said, did you mean to call me?
Saturday night.
She's partying hard.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay up that.
Was it Saturday night? Was that when it was? Well, we were in Oklahoma,
We-
Arkansas,
Now, don't say anything incriminating. We're still alive here, so we're getting ready to reconvene our budget workshop.
Mike and I were together in Arkansas.
Everything's above board. All right, Blair, are you ready?
Claire's on deck. She's at the back.
I'm ready.
He's ready. This is the inaugural time of Blair heading up a whole category.
So when I was planning my budget for this coming year, I wanted to focus on the community survey results. And that was from, the survey results came from the strategic plan. And I wanted to look at see how marketing could contribute to those results. So 3 things that I noticed: improving streaming, like a streamline for new businesses, directional signage, and then retail recruitment. Outside of the strategic plan, I also know that we've put a lot of money into the airport. So I wanted to put some funds for advertising in there to solely market that the new airport and all of its wonderful new amenities. I was able to speak with Eddie, one of my marketing friends at Lake Barkley Regional Airport, and he shared some really great tips on places to market. So that is an addition that was not in my budget last year, that $3,000 for airport advertising. Of course, if like Kevin said, I'll just do the highlights. If you were to take certain things out, everything would be very similar. But with the Ameribration, that is a big chunk, and definitely worth it. It's really been an awesome project, and I can't wait to see it finally get here. And then one thing that Tanera had suggested was the yard of the quarter, doing a monthly yard of the month. So that that yard of the quarter, I think that it would be easier to do quarters. So we would do 4 yards every year, and they would be recognized. And then also geocaching, that was added. The $300 is actually just for supplies. So if something were to happen to the containers that are in the parks, we could have the funds to replace that. And then also there's little trinkets that goes in there. So that would go towards the little trinkets and the waterproof paper. So that's what that's for. Commercials, why can't this be you? It's a kind of a campaign that I've come up with that will recruit outdoor tourism, as well as people that are retired, the retirement age. We'll do YouTube and Google ads through that. And Nathan, our Studio 270, we're going to work on doing some commercials. So we'll do about 4 commercials and get that out over the coming years, or the coming year. Of course, there's retail strategies. We signed a 3-year contract with them, so that remains the same. I'm super excited. There's 3 spaces that they're really hardcore looking at, retails, and that really makes me excited, because that was one thing from the strategic plan that the community wanted to see, was an improvement of retail. So hopefully we'll see something from that this year. Pretty much all of my subscriptions stay the same, in memberships. And then the last one that is out of the ordinary, I would say, is the wayfinding signage, which would include park sign, trail signs, and then our city buildings, so the Civic Center and City Hall. Right now, all of our signs, don't match. They're all put in at different times and different phases over the years. So this would give us kind of a coordinated signage from Highway 62 into Calvert on 5th Avenue.
Are you talking about the Welcome to Calvert City signs as well?
No, those would stay. I mean, those are pretty new. I do think they need some landscaping, but
Well, the ones like on Highway 62 by Altona, they're about 15 years old, and they're starting to look faded. I don't know if you know which ones I'm talking about.
no, I didn't even know there was one out there.
On Highway 62 coming into Calvert.
Okay.
It's
So
John.
these would be like the wayfinding directional signs that we're talking about. I don't pay attention to the language on the text. That's I had Troutman Signs draw something up for me.
Hey, John, where is the line item for these signs at?
That's in the capital.
Yeah.
It's in 21-351, 526.
What page is that?
That's going to be up basically the very one of the last pages.
Okay, so yeah, she's talking about the big one here,
200,000. Yeah,
53.
citywide signage.
that's it.
I just would like to have one added into it, Blair, is what I'm saying.
Sure, yeah.
John,
And this is a price. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
John, the signs that we did like in 2007, somewhere around there, the blue colored sign, there's one out by Altona. There are about 3 of them placed.
Oh, you're talking about the small ones that were put up by the state or something like that?
talking about the ones the city put up. There's, a-
Okay, yeah, the ones we put up back years ago, yes.
yeah, they need to be redone.
Uh-huh.
They're faded out. The one I noticed most is the one on 62.
Yeah, there's one on 62 as you come in from Paducah over by Camelot.
Right.
Um,
I can't
I
remember.
think the other one was replaced with the new sign out there on 62 over by the interstate.
The city one with the state one. Okay. And then I was thinking there was a third one, but there might not have been. But anyway, that was just something too. That
Sure. So I put the $200,000 in there. I'd originally got a quote that was for 115,000, and that was significantly more than what I thought it was going to be. But John made a call to Bowling Green, and they worked with a company that was significantly cheaper than that. And so I think that we'll be able to get all of that signage that you talked about in addition to that within this budget. On here, if you can see the red dots would be kind of the placements of where the signs were. So there would be 6 directional signs that are larger like this on the main roads. And then, with
There, I'm not sure we're seeing. So we see the,
directional
we
signs.
see that we have.
Sign.
Are you showing a map right now?
oh, my screen's paused. Okay, hold on. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
So she's got, she's gonna show us the numbers that can build in that 200 estimate.
No, I was actually just showing you, and now I've closed it out where I was looking at. Hold on. So the locations, there would be 6. So there would be 3 on off of 5th Avenue, 1 on 95, of course, 1 on Oak Park, and then 1 close to the golf course, and then also 1 off Lone Valley. So it'd be those 4, and then there would be 3. Unfortunately, I can't put 1 on this side of the parkway. But the sign would have to go next to Dairy Queen and then McDonald's and coming into Calvert from Paducah. So it would be basically anywhere you come, you're going to see a directional sign that can guide you in there. And one thing that I think is important is that, and like Gene said before, or the mayor Gene said before, is that you have to be going to Calvert to get there. And being able to see these wayfinding signs and seeing, Memorial Park splash mountain, that makes you want to turn. That brings people in, that brings visitors in off the interstate. And I think it's a really great opportunity. Some other options were, as far as just signage, there's several, but you have your just basic side street signs. So something, for the park system, or like the Civic Center and Doctors Park. So you would put it on a corner, and so it specifically says what everything is, something like that. And then also, you've seen this at hospitals and colleges. So something like that would be directional, smaller version of the wayfinding signs, but would be something for the Civic Center or for City Hall, Old Park, Memorial Park, etc. That would be right off of the road so that you could see it and it was visible. One thing that made that really clear is Kites Over Calvert. We had people from Mayfield and Murray and Graves and Paducah, and they all came up and said, "This is such a great event, but we could not find this place." And, I find that really frustrating. So I do think that these are needed, or some type of signage is needed. And then other than that, pretty much everything is the same. I did put in there for a portable sound system only, and that's not something that's absolutely necessary. But when we do have our movie nights, or if we have just a small, something that's simple, musicians playing in the park or something like that for a couple of hours, instead of paying our sound guy $600, I could just go down there and set it up, and it would be a fee at the beginning, but it would be paid off in four events. Movie in the parks is another example where I have to pay someone to set up sound, and not having that option, or having that option to set up sound equipment is always a good thing.
That sounds like a cost saving.
Yeah.
The cost saving.
Gotcha.
So that's all I got.
Oh, she has. Anybody have any questions here? This is the inaugural version. Unintended there too. And
If you looked at the sign I was talking about, you need to add some to your signage.
I think that John and I'll have to sit down and look at it.
Okay.
I'll figure something out and have something probably before the next budget meeting. Would that work?
Sure. I just wanted to make sure you had enough.
Yeah, I think that there will be. But yet again, I don't know I don't know what the other sign looks like. Clearly, I've never seen it. So
so the 200 here is, she expressed to me earlier, she thought that was, is it a fat number, you think, for what you have in mind, or?
I think so. Just judging by what Bowling Green paid for theirs,
Their signs last weekend, matter of fact.
They look good?
Say that again.
Look good. I seen Bowling Green's last weekend. I've been, in the past 2 months, I've been to Lexington, Georgetown, Bowling Green, and Owensboro, and Elizabethtown, and seen everything.
This is golf.
No, that's all in
Soccer.
softball.
Softball
All in
tour.
softball.
Okay.
Oh, me. Yeah, so I would like to try and use, I wasn't able to get a full quote from the company that they used in Lexington, but they are working on it. I don't know when I'll get it. But with the Troutman sign quote that I had, and then comparing it with Bowling Green's budget for their wayfinding signs, it is comparable, the $200,000. So I do think that we'll be able to get that in there.
Okay.
Place to spending money on new parks. Oh,
Yeah, that's great.
they're building buildings at first for animal facilities. They get one that's got a gym. They get two of them, at 2 different parks. The gym that's got 4 basketball courts, and then another park. One of the parks are building another building for soccer, tennis.
Okay, so no further questions, Blair. You got any more comments, need, or any more? You're done. Okay. All right,
It didn't take her long to get on.
that's good. Can't believe you guys give her a harder time.
Signage is important. I'm glad we're finally.
So, the thing is you just, like I said, you don't wander through Calvert. I've always known that. But there's not a way to get across the river. So you're gonna go across 62 or 24 to go anywhere. It's you don't wander up this way if you're not going to the plants or Calvert City on purpose.
I think it stops at 62, but they don't know there's stuff over here.
It tickled my friends, and I used to get turned around and read them because it seemed to me like one subdivision after the next. And I had friends, and when I was in school, that would get lost in Calvert because they thought we were. I'm like, it's like just like Greenland. How do you do that? Anyway, they do. Okay, so moving forward, I think we're ready for water, are we not? John, water's next.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Did print everyone.
Page not going to.
She's on her.
It's just this one page,
Ah,
the other page.
gotcha.
Don't be scared. You can sit up there too.
Yeah, pull your microphone.
Be scared you want. Our board had a budget workshop the last meeting, and we went through all of the line items, and we got all of that on another spreadsheet, but we didn't want to take the time tonight to talk about it unless y'all need to. But I summarized where we are on this one sheet that Linda made a copy of for you. What I try to do with just to come up with more cash flow schedule, see whether or not we're going to be able to fund or not fund with our own money, and then how much money we would need to borrow if we have to borrow. So starting at the top, the budgeted revenue I've got for both departments is 2.1 million. And that's pretty much flat with the current year revenue. Don't anticipate very much increases other than the annual January adjustment for the cost of, we call it cost of living or PPI rate, and it's typically been running somewhere around 3%. So I bumped the revenue by 3% on both water and sewer, which brings in an additional almost 40,000. And then we've been talking and kicking this around for over a year or so now. The flat rate fee for the new water meters that we're putting in at this point. What I have in the budget is 1,560 meters, and I put in 375 because we didn't go with the United Systems proposal, but we went ahead and bought the meters ourselves, and they were about 346, 350,000 that we have expended for those, and so I've added the 70,200 to it. I think before we can add that to the bills, I need to bring back to the council cost analysis and savings and show you all why we need that $3.75 flat rate fee for a meter. So I'll be doing that pretty soon because you got in, how many you installed so far?
We're probably getting close to a quarter of them that have been installed, getting close to 25%.
Right, so we don't want to charge the fee until everybody's got a meter. Yeah. So I'll be bringing that back, but that's $70,200. So
That's just a part of the year.
That's just the rest.
Part of the
Well,
year.
no, it's actually 12 months because it's a budget year we're looking at. Yeah. The
I mean, but will you have that rate increase in so that you have that revenue for 12 months? That's really what I was asking.
I was hoping for July 1st, but I don't know whether we can get there at that point or not. So we're really close to that. Yeah. So that's the revenue, 2.2 million. We went through each line, like I said, each line item of the expense budgets. We massaged them and adjusted up and down. Silas had a lot of input into that. And so our operating expense is $1,378,000. The lease and loan fees, I took that off of the operating reports. And the interest expense, tried to figure out what the interest expense was going to be on the loans that we already have, and also the new loan that we're going to get on the influent lift station.
And so total cash out is 1,447,000. But in addition to operating expenses, we've got to make principal payments on the loans. But at that level, before I get to the notes payable level, you can see that we were budgeting an operating income of 750,000 in water and about 12,000 in sewer. So we're budgeting a profit and a break even basically on the sewer. We have, I went through the schedules that we get on a monthly basis, tried to figure out how much we would pay in principal of reducing these loans. And I came up with 106,000 in water and 120,000 in sewer. But I think I've got a duplicate in there that doesn't need to be, because the city is reimbursing us for that clear well. And John had it in his budget a while ago for 60,000. And I'm showing it being paid here, but I don't show any revenue for that 60,000 coming over from the city. So I think we can half of that 60,000 in there. I need to show an additional reimbursement from the city for that 60,000 along there.
Yeah.
Capital projects that we're looking at for this year. The SCADA system, which is heart and blood of Silas, is keeping up with everything that's going on. We need some improvements in that area, and he thinks he can get it done for 35,000. Up around the O'Reilly's, the water main needs to be relocated there. We can get into detail if we need to. We got Mulberry Road water main relocation there. 141,000 pickup truck replacement, 35, and then I put in for the new water plant $950,000 of engineering costs once we get our heads together to decide what kind of plant we want. To talk to the engineer in charge at Strand, and he says that engineering cost is about 7% of the total project, and the total project we're looking at is about 16 million. So, and that would include some changes we need to make internal to get it up to date. On the sewer side, of course, we're already in the middle of the influent lift station, and that project's budgeted right now at 2.9 million. We need to do a little work on the Magnolia lift station, and need some sewer pumps out of those, some camera replacement, and the PAA skid. I'm not sure what that is.
The PAA skid, that's the pump and the entire unit that we feed parasitic acid into the sewer plant and the chlorine contact chamber to kill anything before we pump it out. And back last year, we started a trial period where we were trying parasitic acid instead of using chlorine gas. Then we are done with the trial period. Then our new permit reflects that we will be using parasitic acid. Then I need to go ahead and buy the skid unit from the company that we were leasing it from.
That's a metering pump skid.
Yes, yeah, it's off 4 to 20. We've got a unit there that measures the depth in the chlorine contact chamber, and then it's on 4 to 20 scale. Then it just, as it comes up, it puts more in. As it goes down, it puts less in. So, but yeah, it's a metering skid.
So capital projects, we're looking 4,362,000 for this coming budget year. So as you can see on the next line, that I'm short $741,000 in, we're short $741,000 in water, 3,084,000 in sewer, a total of 3,008,000. We've got 2,908,000 of that is already a loan, already approved, and everything's
Everything is good to go.
good to go.
We have all
Approved
the,
today.
yeah, we have all the approvals. Everything's good to go on the new inflow.
And we've got, and we need to, as part of the water and sewer board, we need to get funding for the water plant of some sort. We don't know yet where we're gonna go with that because we don't know what type of loan we get, but we would need $950,000 to cover the 741 shortfall in the water side. The other little projects, I think we can fund those out of cash flow. And I've got paying on the infrastructure advance, we've been paying $5,000 a month there. Back to that, so I think that budget to continue there.
As of today, you have 863,000 available.
Right. So that's where we are with the water and the sewer. Any details you want? It's not cheap.
Oh.
The net 2,908,000, one point on that. Once we get that done, which will be finished hopefully by the end of this budget year, may possibly run over in the other one depending on weather and so forth. But the sewer plant as it is right now would be up to date, all new stuff. And then all we would need going forward after that is routine maintenance items. We need to put some liner around the lagoons up above the water level because that has deteriorated over time. That's not a major cost. It is a cost, but it's not a major cost. And we've still got, we're not sure what we're going to do with the sludge that was dredged out of the lagoons. And so far, they're contained within a containment area. It's got clay bottom and in bags, so it's not causing any problems with the regulations. And that 2.9 million, once that's spent, should get us out from under the agreed order plan because we're meeting all the regs now, right?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, the $16 million project, that's just for a relocation of the water plant.
Building a brand new water plant. Relocation, building a new plant, which once that gets done, that will be another 30-year out of the way that we would just be operating routine maintenance,
Running all new lines.
It's not gonna be that bad. Or whenever you say run a new line, you're talking about hooking the new plant up to the system.
Correct.
Yeah, it's with where we're wanting to move it, it's really not gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be a big job, yes, but it's not gonna be bad. The reason we selected the site that we did, the raw water transmission mains already run through the site, so getting the well water to the plant, that's your closest and easiest option. And then we've got we do have good water main that runs up to that area. It will have to be replaced with a bigger water main, but you're not talking about running miles of new pipe and, it's not gonna be bad.
The tie-in's not bad. I mean, but it's this $17 million, $16 million project.
I understand.
And that is the biggest singular project that I'm aware that we've undertaken as a municipality.
So that here includes those things Kevin's talking about. Sorry.
The
The 16 million.
Yeah, the 16 million
Yes.
includes those,
Would include
the larger.
Yeah, it should include it.
Yeah, the plant itself, I think is gonna be somewhere around 12.5 million, 12.5 million for the plant, but there's additional piping, connecting, and
Yes.
we'll have to change some of the computer controls and so forth within the plant itself, so.
It's a sizable project. I mean, it's big.
I would like to have, I mean, it's not budget, but in a way it is, that sometime we could sit down, the council could sit down with you and the water board and hear what your
It's
ideas
required.
are.
It's required. It's got to, before the final decisions are made, that's required.
Yeah, I just meant, but just to know where they were going before we get into, not, you know, pointing somebody else, just,
Well,
we don't have to do that, but just that we would have an idea of what site you
Mhm.
think you'd like and things like that, just general information, nothing to withhold them to, you
In
know.
my estimation, the discussion of the water plant rebuild, I've got some questions for them, but right now, there's the money that's flowing for infrastructure projects. So there's one I recognize here is the Mulberry, Maine.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Mulberry Water Main
There's a
relocation.
few other ones there, depending upon what the monies are available that aren't on this list that have been discussed, right?
Yeah, I mean, other projects,
PB Cloud.
the PB Cloud,
Yeah.
Lone Valley, there are other
So
projects.
it just depends on how much of that infrastructure project could be made available
Yes.
and how we could utilize it in the system. So that's kind of an uncertainty here. It's not built in,
It's not
right?
built in.
Okay.
We
So-
tried to pick what we thought we could get to this year without going into a whole lot more debt.
Right. So those are dependent upon how well we can lay hands on and realize some of the things that legislation was intended to promote. Okay. But the water plant discussion, the water plant, as the mayor had always been the base case of softening the water to 50% of the hardness. So, I mean, $17 million project, big show. So that's going to be a really big point of a lot of workshops.
And that's,
emphasis.
is that including the water softening, the 16?
Yes, the plant, there's a study that's been
That's what
funded.
I'm just saying, I know that you have.
We haven't been, the council hasn't been included in that study, and that study actually is not done, but it's nearing completion. So when that's done,
We'll
they're
bring
probably
it back.
need to bring it back and show what it is and where to go. But the current water plant's wore out. The current water plant's in a floodplain.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're
And
all,
so we've all got to go, and we got some good property, and in the broad scheme of things, the tie-in is fairly convenient. So there's a lot of things going for us, but still, I mean, that's a big undertaking.
I'm just saying, so we could have a little bit of a vision of what you have in mind.
Mhm.
Not that we have any say so in it, just that, so if anybody asks us, we know what to answer, because right now I don't think we know a lot to answer. And one of the other things that I was just wondering about, I understand the cost saving analysis and stuff, the $3.75 a meter. We've talked about $4 before,
We have,
and I'm just wondering why you won't stay with 4, because you get that much more revenue. I'm not a lot, but just keep it a good rounded off number. and
we
keep
can
it at
stay
4.
with 4, but we had adjusted some of the meters
Mhm.
downward from what we had originally planned on. The $4 came from the system solution.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, since we've already talked about 4, even though you got them cheaper, that we might go ahead and do that extra quarter and give you a little bit more revenue, is all I was thinking about. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's good.
Yeah, I had no problem with that.
Yeah.
So that was comparable to Benton.
So, yeah, tell us, the influent lift station project for $3 million. What does that entail? What's the scope?
So,
It's a going thing, permitted, it's happening.
yeah, it's happening. It's not
What
stopping
is
now.
that?
So the new influent lift station, all the sewer in Calvert City comes to one central location. We call that the influent lift station. The reason it's a lift station is because our lagoons sit up here and all the sewer is down here. And, poop don't go uphill.
That's the pressure, don't you?
So the influent lift station that we're in right now does not have the capacity to pump what we're getting. And that's why we have sanitary sewer overflows. Overflows are bad, and that was part of the agreed order, cut down on the overflows, which we have a responsibility to do that anyway. So we are moving the influent lift station closer to the lagoons. But in the process of doing this, we're getting much more capacity, going to be much larger. But we're also putting in an automatic bar screen. Now, bar screen, all it is just, think of it like a strainer. You know, all your solids, your toilet paper, the trash, it's going to get caught on this. And then whenever the level starts coming up, it'll turn on and pull up and get rid of the trash. So by doing this, we're going to limit the amount of trash that's coming into our sewer lagoons. So 10 years from now, 15 years from now, whenever we dredge again, we don't have the trash.
Don't have the diapers. no.
Needles, all that stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes it much more easily to be disposed of.
Yes, yes, it makes
Less
it.
costly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the influent lift station is just a pumping station that sends the sewer to the lagoons. That's all it is. But we're upgrading, you know, we're moving it closer. It's gonna be out of the floodplain, just good situation all the way around.
Wasn't that the issue with Cracker Barrel? Did that ever get resolved?
So yes, it's been resolved. The biggest issue we had with Cracker Barrel was grease. We were getting a lot of
Okay,
grease.
I
Now,
thought it
now,
was
yes,
diapers
what
and such.
we were getting a lot of diapers, but the bigger problem for us was the grease. And they've cut down on the diapers, rags, things like that. And they put in another grease trap. So the grease is,
Grinder pump too, didn't it?
well, we put in,
I thought they put one in.
I was thinking they were required to put it in.
we talking about Cracker Barrel?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was thinking they were gonna put in a grinder pump before it came to us too. No.
Loves is,
Loves is.
yeah,
Loves is.
Yeah, Loves is in the process of putting a grinder in. Cracker Barrel, they just did PR, hung signs up, put trash cans in the bathrooms, and they pretty much eliminated the garbage just through PR.
Now, got another question, and this is for the council, and we're lay people. So we dredged up the sludge out of the lagoon, and it is being dewatered.
Yes,
So it's basically laying in some plastic on the side on the acreage out there. So ultimately, how do you assess what's gonna happen to that?
so
Best case, worst case.
best case scenario, we're still pulling samples on it, sending samples to the state, or sending samples to our lab, the results to the state. Best case scenario, we finally get the state to approve us to land apply it. And then we open it up, you know, we have some sort of agreement, you know, any farmer, whoever wants it comes down there, we load it in a dump truck, they take it and gone. Worst case scenario, we haul it to a landfill. That's best and worst case scenario of the sludge that we have.
So all of that sludge, none of it has left the site yet.
No, we have,
Some of it has left.
Some of it.
yeah, we've hauled off.
Two batches came to me.
Yeah, I want to say we've hauled off 6 or 7 bags that we've hauled off.
Have you had any farmers interested?
All of that. I'm not putting the word out there because if you start putting it out there, they'll steal it. It's good stuff. It would be real nice to put on fields. So if we can land apply, that's the best option.
Kentucky's rules are, they don't like it to be landformed because of the potential
Mhm.
liability of somebody, some kid playing in the dirt, getting cancer and suing and that kind of thing. Illinois, they landform it all the time in Illinois. No problem. And Illinois is stricter environmentally than Kentucky is.
That's
But
interesting.
not on that issue.
Just not on that, yeah.
Okay, so if it had to be landfill, what would be is there a cost estimate for that?
I can get you one. I do not have one right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Price has been $30 a ton,
yeah.
plus haul.
So like, is there any way the city could use it?
We've discussed that and I don't think there's a viable option on that one. We have discussed it, but I at this time, I don't think there's a viable
I
option on
don't
that.
think it is a permitting issue.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a-
And then manpower and the timing.
So with the sludge removal, with the lift station improvement, we're out of trouble regulatorily, and so we essentially have a waste treatment plant here that's gonna be good to go.
Yeah.
For several years, what, 10
Right.
years, 15 years?
I'd say probably, well, the only thing we would need to do is periodically we need to dredge to make sure we don't
Get
wait
back in the way we were.
75 years and get the lagoons totally full. But
Yeah,
we need to put a routine thing in the budget to do that.
Okay, so,
But yes, you're correct. We'd have a 20, 30 year
Yeah.
Sewer
So
plant.
if we get on top of the water treatment plant, I mean, it's a lot of improvements and it's, it's just modernizing them every single facet there, right?
And it's unfortunately, it's hit all at once because of the fact that casting stones, we didn't do it as we went along, and so we waited till it crashed and burned rather than working
Yeah,
on it years ago.
But also with the sewer plant is, yes, after this influent lift station project, we have a brand new sewer plant through and through. But technology's getting so much better. Yes, well, we absolutely have to stay on top of the dredge, and we need to go out there, sludge judge, we need to dredge. But with the advances in aerators and blowers, we're not seeing the amount of sludge that we were seeing. The plant's actually operating the way it's supposed to operate. So, theoretically, you're gonna get a lot longer out of this plant than you got out of the old plant that we're in right now on the sewer plant.
So
Have we had sludge removal before, like in the past? I mean, I know it would be before.
No.
No, we've had it within, the only sludge that's been removed is since we started dredging, which has been within the last
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah,
To
so
tell you how bad it was, the final cell, we have 4 cells. The final cell had about 8 inches of water in it, and the lagoons are 10 foot deep.
Oh.
And it had about 8 inches of water. We couldn't run a John boat through there. You couldn't, and that was in the final cell.
Now, I just happened to think, speaking of that you brought up, there's at least $50,000 not revenue coming in off the dredge
Oh,
once we auction it and sell it off.
Yeah.
So,
So, these reactors, it's a reactor, you pump an area, it's oxidation, it's bioreactor. So you lose your reactor volume, you lose your efficiency. So now he's got the volume up to design, he's got better aeration, he's got a lot better performance, so.
I've got happy bugs. I mean, I've got happy, healthy bugs, and that's what you have to have in the lagoon system.
And we've also are changing where it dumps into the river, right? We had a
Yeah,
problem.
they're part of the influent lift station project is actually on the end of it, the effluent line, what leaves the plant. We're gonna put a new diffuser in the river because the one that's out there now looks like a barge has hit it a couple times and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So that is part of the project, is a new diffuser in the river.
You go out, look at.
We had divers go down and look at it and they couldn't find it. So it's bad.
Oh.
We pulled a big chunk up with an excavator that was just kind of out there.
Okay. Is there anything else anybody else got any questions?
I can stay on this all night long.
I got one other question. What are we doing about getting new water customers? Now, we're very limited on what we can get and the people that's out there that can hook on, but
We've talked about that, and we've talked about going up Long Valley Road, around the tiny end of that loop. There's some difficulty in getting the pressure up and around to get it back down, but we're still looking at that. PB Cloud, that's another one where there's some people out there on PB Cloud that would hook on to us. If we can get that one in, and
That's pretty much.
is that the only two that we've got?
That's about all we
got room for, isn't it? That's not.
Yeah, I see, we're boxed in.
I understand. I
You
knew
know that, I
that.
mean, you know, but I'm just saying, yeah, so.
I know there's still probably close to 40 something up there in Long Valley that probably.
There's on Lone Valley, there's a pretty good amount of people that we could pick up, but we've only had 4 or 5 people show interest in getting picked up. Now that may change, we may get out there and, we may have a lot more interest. PB Cloud, looking at maybe, like we talked about this before, like 6 customers on PB Cloud. But the Lone Valley, I definitely think that's a project we need to look at, especially if we can get money for it. But we're really gonna have to look at that one hard to figure out how to feed it, because that is a low pressure area.
Is it North Marshall Lane or who's?
No.
No, it's just no man's land, right?
Yeah.
No man's land, half of it. Well,
Well, they have well water. I mean,
Well, that-
it's all well water. Most, well,
Marvin told me there was about 7, 8 up there close to him. that
So-
possibly,
I bet a few more than that.
maybe a few more than
He's got some.
So places where we have water mains available, we have people who elected to stay on well.
There's very low percentage of that. If we run a water main, we pretty well require them to hook onto it. Mhm.
I was gonna say, at one point, like, when I hooked on to sewer at my house,
Mhm.
and it got to the point where if you were gonna be billed, if you weren't hooked onto it, you were gonna be billed for sewage.
Yeah, I mean, well,
So, I mean.
if there's a sewer main readily available, I can force you to hook on the sewer.
Yeah.
If there's a sewer main readily available. And water mains, it's not to that point yet where I can force you to do it, but it's getting to that point, just because the public safety, public health side of it.
So you got a
I
good
don't
number
know.
on saturation and how many you're missing?
I don't have, I don't have that number.
Okay. Be hard to get. I just wondered if you.
I don't know, Dean, if we could actually force them in town, because somewhere up there, it's outside the city limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
going
I'm
up.
not talking about forcing. I'm trying to
No.
I'm trying to get it to where
Anything that doesn't.
that you entice and you get folks to, because look,
Most of that's not in the city. That's up there.
well,
All of our current lines are anyway up there.
well, and a pressure system's not inexpensive to maintain. And when folks are looking at dealing with that versus tiling the city water, what's the value proposition and what are the actual fees that they're looking at to do it? And, they gotta make decisions and environmental impact of waste is one thing. And then, the quality of people's drinking water is their choice. And I guess there's probably still some people with hollow cisterns. Oh, good grief.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But that is on our agenda.
Do we sell bulk water?
No. We don't sell any bulk water. I mean, I've got contract rates like with TVA and things like that, but water haulers, no.
Mhm. Okay, and your top 10 customers are industrial clients.
Top 15.
Okay,
Well, I appreciate y'all making everything as clear as you made it. Seriously, both of you. It's good.
Wellfields is in good
Yeah,
shape now.
well fields are in great shape.
We've got the more. I don't think there's any, since it's been moved over there where it is, I don't think there's any problem with potential contamination from any of the plants or anything like that. So at least is what I've been told.
well, this is the time, and Dan, I drink Calvert City water, love Calvert City water. And, I think that a lot of the folks who are on the system don't understand exactly where it comes from.
And that,
Don't understand it's groundwater, up gradient, it's not down gradient from the chemical plants, it's not coming from the Tennessee River, it's not coming from downstream. People.
It's not.
It's not, and he puts out an annual report that tells all those facts. If folks want a copy, they can get on our website and actually access it, right? It's actually
so
posted.
you can get on the website. You can actually, on your water bill, it has the website you can go directly to access it. Or you can call me and I'll bring you a hard copy.
Bring a piece of paper.
I can't ever get past the numbers on there. What I gotta pay.
All right, well, thank you, guys.
Are you all done on Magnolia, or you still working on that?
Magnolia.
It's running right now.
Okay, because you all were out there for days.
It's running right now.
Which the water department's another place where I could do my part as well.
That's
3 teams.
Yes.
that's why I'm asking for somebody
Well,
to
high
make our
showers.
station. It's running right now, and that's all I'm gonna
That's
say.
all I can say.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Bless, I'm sorry.
I had one daughter, so I have a question.
My perspective, we've got an excellent and sewer crew. Take care of the city.
Well, John Ward, you still with us?
I'm still with you.
Okay, so we need, are we over half?
We're at half point. Only departments left are the ones that are in care of Brad. He's on vacation this week. He had scheduled it previously to scheduling this meeting. And so what I'm hoping is that we can set a meeting 2 weeks from tonight, maybe, be the Tuesday or the Wednesday after Memorial Day, to get the other half in and move forward.
But y'all can do it without me. I'm just saying I won't be here.
So 2 weeks, so that would be June 2nd,
Too, yes, right.
Oh, I won't be here either.
okay? Falling like flies here.
I won't be back until the second week of June.
I'm sketchy the whole month of June, so y'all
You're just sketchy.
I'm sketchy the whole month of June.
I could probably, if you have the Zoom, I could probably Zoom in with you where I'm at. And we have an All-American tournament, but I could.
So what days are
It
you
came
out,
down to
what days are you out of town?
That whole week.
The whole week? Okay, so you're bad that week. You're bad that week. We don't know about Jeremy.
I won't even have signal.
That's good for you. I
I'm very
can,
excited
that's
about
awesome.
I think I will have.
Okay, as far as Brad's gone next week?
No, Brad will be in next week. I'm gone next week.
Okay, you're gone next week.
You're gone when I come home.
Kevin's just stuck in town like I am.
Not to the end of the month, I'm gonna be gone. I'll be for the
Yeah.
celebration.
That's right. Mhm.
Okay.
What about the first
Yeah.
full week of the month?
Well, okay, we go the second, so we go June 2nd. We have Brad, we have John. And I think, I don't know Jeremy's status, but we would have a quorum. And we would be doing parks. Streets.
I've never missed a budget meeting.
I know, yeah.
I might be on the second, I might be close, I don't know. It might be, I don't know what they're gonna do, they haven't told us what we're gonna be doing that week.
No, I'll be good.
Oh, okay.
I don't work.
They haven't told us what we're gonna be doing.
Okay, so
what gonna be
we're
doing.
in danger of not having a quorum that night then.
And I'm gonna be, like I said, that's why I said I'd be probably out, because I had no idea. They could come that morning and say, you gotta stay, you gotta stay tonight.
How's the ninth sound?
Can you Zoom us?
I'm sorry?
Could you Zoom us be part of a Zoom meeting next week,
I won't have signal. I won't.
this coming week?
Okay, the 9th, where are you gonna be the 9th?
I think I'll be back. What day, is that our regular meeting?
That's, now the ninth is a
The
Wednesday.
14th will be our next meeting.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be okay on the night.
You gonna be okay on that?
I'll be
Chris's
up.
birthday.
He'll be gone.
I'll be okay.
Okay.
I could probably, I don't know, I'm out there. That's them.
He didn't rest it.
Yeah, y'all make one. Or y'all have enough people.
Could Brad present it? And then if we had any questions, we
I was
could
gonna say. I have a
text
copy of
John
it.
or whatever.
I think it should go pretty fast.
Or could you not? John, what I'm asking is, could somebody else do your job for that meeting?
Could Brad present that part of the budget on, we're saying possibly on the 26th?
No, because Brad may or may not know all of the intricacies from the different boards. He has a lot to do with the departmental expenses, but not necessarily the boards themselves. So it's probably going to take both of us to finish this one up.
Did you not have the chairman of the boards here?
Well,
They will be here as well, but
typically.
like I said, I would like to be here to do that. The 9th,
June the 2nd, we've got definitely 2 no's.
understood. The 9th,
One is in a maybe, and I don't know about Jeremy. So this is a proposal now. We do it on the 2nd. Then we'll see if Jeremy can come or whether we'll have a quorum.
And I'll try to see if I've got a signal where I am.
And then we'll have copies. And we have, before we have the first reading in June, which will be, we're planning on having the first reading of the ordinance on the
that will be the
14th,
next
correct?
meeting.
On the 14th be the first reading. Okay, so it'll be open for discussion. We're everybody gonna be here for the regular meeting the 14th.
Mhm.
So we get through the workshop, okay? And then we can tweak, we see some things with the forum, and then we can communicate, and everybody have a copy, and we'll come back together for a normal meeting on the 14th. And then there's some sticking points. questions, we can have the public meeting and, we're not conducting any kind of business anywhere, but copies of the budget as amended after the second will be distributed and,
I mean, can we try to at least make sure we have the stuff that's gonna be in the budget by, like to us, like the 27th, 28th, so we can all have time to review it over that long weekend.
Yes.
We'll definitely try to do that.
I mean, that's-
One day
that's what
from
I like to
now,
have.
we didn't have time to,
I know, we had some issues.
I know, I'm not complaining. just-
Okay.
No, that's just a
so we're gonna
suggestion.
schedule one for the second. We'll check to make sure we have a quorum and we'll get the budget to everybody at the end of by the end of the next week. The tweak on it and get it sent out. Is that doable, John and Glenda?
Hopefully,
I think so.
I will be out Monday and hopefully not longer.
Okay.
Who,
So we're
who's, who's gonna be gone on the second?
Me and Tanara, and maybe
Okay.
you.
If you guys would like to meet with me before you leave next week, like on Tuesday or Monday, either one, I can go over some things with you if you want me to. I can do that.
I think it's more worried about the quorum, John, but
I
Okay,
think
well,
I'll be able to be here the second.
Okay.
I think I should be able to make the second.
Let's try to do the second. We'll get the information out. John's available for questions when you have an opportunity.
Shouldn't take us.
And we still can, we will have conversations on the 14th over any gaps. I think it's gonna be workable.
Yeah, I think it's worth. I think I can be here. I'm not.
Yeah, so we'll have to have another special call to
I
second
hate to
reading.
commit to something and something pop up. And I
Yeah.
can't be here.
We could always do a Zoom for that second reading. I remember one time we did a noon meeting, remember? We came up here at noon, I think, for a second reading.
I remember something.
Something like
that was weird.
Okay. John, we're gonna shoot for the second, and then we'll have the first reading on the 14th is what we're shooting for, and we'll just make sure we have a quorum, and it will have to be flexible if something turns out that we don't.
I just don't want. I
You're not gonna do the first reading until the 14th,
When did you plan to do the first reading? Second?
the second,
Oh,
and then,
no.
whenever we have this next workshop, I'd like to get the first in. I'd like to finish it up if we could at the 14th meeting and just have that wrap up our second reading there.
Well, how are we looking after the 14th?
I'm sorry.
I'm talking to council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
After the 14th, we got to kind of, we're good after the 14th?
To be home, be for meetings and we mean, or?
Okay,
is it-
Kevin
Yeah,
gets
just-
deeper in. He
I
gets
just,
deeper.
it's just deep. The month of June is just deep for me, and I know it is every year. And it just, it don't change, and I work it out. If I have to leave work early or something.
Well, we can go ahead and have it. We get a quorum, we can have the first reading on the second.
Yeah, that's up.
Okay.
That's up to the folks that's not gonna be.
First
That's
reading
what-
on the second,
That's
and then
what they
we'll
want to
answer
do.
the questions. We'll answer the questions and we can postpone the second reading until if there's anything pop up, you can postpone it. We'll do it later. And that'll get us done the 14th instead of going screaming into the last minute.
I'm-
And that's
I'm
stressful
good,
for
Whatever works.
Okay, so
Yes.
we're gonna try to get a meeting on the second, get a quorum. We'll plan on having the first reading. And we'll have that period of time to answer any questions and then have the final reading on the 14th. And, given the time schedules, it should work out. It usually does.
It usually
It
does.
usually
Yeah.
does. So I think it'll work. Okay, all right. Is that perfectly clear, Glenda?
Yes.
All right,
Make sure we tell Jeremy.
Make sure we tell Jeremy. all right. I'll tell Jeremy right now.
Make sure you tell all of them. Well, I'm not gonna be here. You can say that. I shoot it all down until it's said.
I don't know. Okay. All right, with that said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, have a second.
Absolutely.
Seconded by Kevin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
8 o'clock.
Anybody,
8:01.
y'all know that she's